Welcome to another episode of the Trusted Advisor podcast and video series powered by the Retail Solutions Providers Association. Our goal on the pod is to accelerate the success of today's and tomorrow's leaders in the retail IT industry. I'm Jim Roddy, back with you again. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, this is a special episode of the podcast based on a panel that the RSPA hosted back on June 8th at the Southeast Acquirers Association, that's the SCAA, back at their conference in Miami. Now, the room was set up for 160 seats. We got at least 230 people in the room. Don't tell the fire marshal about that, but they were 3 or 4 deep in the back. It was very hot in that side of the room, but several attendees from SCAA said they couldn't get into the room because it was overflowing. So we talked afterwards and said, hey, let's do the panel in a forum where there's unlimited access and do it in a podcast. So that's what we're doing here today. So our panelists / podcast guests for today are first Travis Chrisman. He's the president of Coastal Pay. Hey, Travis, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Jim, and everyone. Thank you.
You bet. And Don, next we have is Don Wilczynski, the CEO of Merchant Rescue, powered by Tried and True Consulting. Don, how have you been since Miami?
Fantastic. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
You bet. And finally, the one panelist who unfortunately missed our SCAA session due to flight issues from New York is Aidan Chow. He's the founder and CEO of Maple. Aidan, we are so glad you were part of today's discussion.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to chat.
Excellent. I felt bad. Aidan couldn't make it to Miami, but he was able to make it to Hawaii when he spoke on stage at the RSPA Inspire conference back in January. So, all right, gentlemen, I gave very, very quick introductions for each of you, but so our audience better understands your perspective before we dive in talking about AI and payments. Can you tell us details about your organization, right? Are you an ISO, a VAR, an ISV? What's your core offering, the verticals you focus on, number of employees, headquarters, things of that nature. Travis, can you start us off, please?
Yeah, of course. Coastal Pay is based out of San Diego. We started in 2014, so we're going on 12 years. Internal team is a little over 20, and then ISO offices, we have a little over 700. Our core product and focus is we're an ISO, but we also build software. So we built an onboarding platform, a couple gateways, some plugins. We do custom integrations. Our ICP is we focus on ISVs and software companies. And AI has been one of those things where it is helping us move faster than we're used to. So we love it.
Excellent. Very good. Don, tell us a little about your organization.
Sure. Tried and True, founded in 2009 in Orlando, Florida. As our corporate office, we have 24 independent consultants across the Southeast and one in New York. And we have been primarily a payments point of sale gateway company, and over the last 18 months transformed into IT and digital marketing as we expanded those product sets to reach out to more specific verticals in the marina, aviation, assisted living, property management, in addition to your traditional retail restaurant. And most recently launched our Tool Truck Pro software for the independent tool trucks organizations. And like Travis, we found being able to scale and build a little faster, more efficiently has been done a lot on some of the AI platforms that we're using.
Excellent. Very good. And Aidan, tell us about yourself and Maple, please.
Hi, my name's Aidan. I'm the founder of Maple. Today is day 658 of Maple, so just under 2 years. Maple's a company, ISV, that builds voice AI solutions for restaurants. We work with dealers, we also have direct sales, and today we serve over 3,000 restaurants across the country and still growing. So team is still small, 35 people, all based out of here in New York City. But yeah, excited to chat today.
Very good. I feel like so everybody knows from our RSPA standpoint, we've been around about 79 years. So that would be 28,835 days if you're keeping track and counting in days. So I definitely appreciate you doing that, Aidan. So, all right, let's cut through the AI hype, and we're going to talk practical AI solutions that generate an ROI. So where have each of you seen measurable ROI from AI in payments? Again, so this could be revenue increase, it could be cost reduction, it could be churn reduction, or it could be something else. And so let's keep going in the same order. Travis, can you share with us, where have you seen measurable ROI from AI in payments?
Yeah, excellent question. So I would say we'll start with our development team. Our development team uses Cursor and Cloud Code, and it helps them release software faster. So in terms of cost and number of developers we need to hire, we don't need to hire as many. So that's the first angle. Second one is, I mean, we're using it in basically all departments across Coastal Bay. But the second one's going to be support. We're able to analyze a lot of our data and make decisions a lot faster, right? Versus our team having to manually go through and come through reports and find this and that. The team uses and we create dashboards with it. And so that's the second one. And then on the financial side, I will say we've built a financial dashboard. And I think this personally has been one of the most exciting things. We took our P&Ls, we took our bank statements, we took our credit card statements, we took I think one or two other reports. We built that through Claude and built a financial dashboard, and we had like CFO level data in like real time, right? And so that's another one where we're saving cost, and also we just have very powerful high level insight, and allows us to see our data in a different light, right? And so whether we're looking at financials, whether we're looking at sales, whether we're looking wherever, it's helping. And I think the last one I'll touch on is sales. We're working on an enterprise deal right now, and we've created custom these Excel sheets, and we use ISO AMP as well to create these typical cost analysis and savings analysis. But what we did for this enterprise deal is we took just what they were using with their current provider. We took the statements and then plus the call from Fireflies with the merchant. We took it, we ran it through Claude. We had to build the presentation within seconds. We had an enterprise level report. We liked it. We went through that and just brushed it up a little bit. And sure enough, we presented it and they loved it. So, I mean, that's just how, and it was quick, right? Like typically, this would take a week, a couple of weeks. I mean, we had this done in like a matter of a few minutes. So it's allowing us to move faster and give us a better quality output.
Interesting. Thank you, Travis. Don, where are you seeing, again, a measurable ROI from AI and payments in your world?
So a lot like Travis, I'll label it into really three areas: in operations, in sales, and then in product development. So I'll start first with operations. What we've been able to do, taking individuals that would literally fill up their entire calendar with manual processes and data uploads and analyzation of information, we're able to do now with a few things within chat or Claude Code. We're able to take those people and exponentially make them more efficient. They're actually solving more problems now, not just for themselves, but for our clients. So when someone does present an issue or an opportunity to research, they can do now in minutes what was taking days of research and emails back and forth. Now we can just do one email, grab the data, and generally within the same business day, turn around a response with the outcome that we need to take to solve those problems. So increase in productivity within the available headcount you have was the number one thing we've already seen. And I would say that that's already resulted in, normally we might have hired 2 more FTE to do the number of new boards we're doing and other things. We're able to just keep our core intact, pay them a little bit more this year, and turn around and do something better with the resources that we have. And so that's number one. Operational efficiency was definitely achieved just this year alone. Number two, I talked about products. We developed Chargeback Navigator through a combination of a lot of personal information research, looking at competitors' solution sets, and ultimately arriving at a place where we go, where's the gap? And building that out, where normally a software solution, let's pre-AI might have taken hundreds of thousands to build something effectively. You can do that now for just a few $1,000s, and then you're going to have to lawyer up and do some other things with accounting platforms and such, where you're still going to spend some money, but you don't have to spend $50,000, $60,000, $75,000 to develop something. You can now get into the $10,000 range and become very effective, compliant, secure, in delivering a solution that is ultimately saving hours of our employee time, hours of the merchant time. And we've already seen a measurable return on investment. We're up to nearly 45, I think it's 45 now, defended chargebacks, something like 35 in a row, 36 in a row, including multiple representments now. And we're in a position where we're starting to see this number is now approaching $100,000 of retained earnings for our clients, not to mention fees avoided. So that is a major, major transformation for a small company to be able to create and deliver these kind of results. I think I've spoken about this at Aspire, where it was just 22 clients, and it was like $35,000. We're $100,000 now. So in 6 months, quite an impressive gain. And now we're starting to figure out how to monetize it. We're going to invest some of these savings we're making. We're investing back into making that product even better and be able to go to market with it. Last thing I'd say is around sales. We're able to take merchant statements and do analysis. I know there's a lot of tools out there that we can compete against, but at the end of the day, how we want to present it and creating it in a manner in which we'd like to present it was something we had to manually do every single time. Now we just loaded into a template that's already there. We've seen us take data from customers where POS systems are, maybe they tell one story through multiple sets of reports. We're able to consolidate that in through a combination of chat, then moving it into Claude Code where we can get agents working a little more efficiently. We're getting into an area where we're starting to really deliver really meaningful quarterly meetings with some of our larger clients and really determining what really is making the transformation and ticket increase, what really is driving the increase in efficiency through the kitchen. It's more than just looking at a standard report. We're taking, and that is massive. So when you come in with case studies, as Travis alluded to, when you start loading these case studies into chat, you can do in minutes to maybe an hour refining something and making it for the next client. So, and that's all that's doing is increasing productivity. Our pipeline since SEAA alone is nearly $100 million in new businesses already verbally committed to us. And it's all through these new tools that we're creating. And in a company like that, we had it prior, early last year, we were a $150 million company in volume. We're now 250, and now we're approaching another 100 already. So that's the incredible growth it's allowed to have happen.
It really is. Yeah, I've heard you first talk about that chargeback solution in January at Inspire, then at SCAA, and now today. And I'm glad that number keeps going up for you. So that's wonderful. So Aidan, you might have a different perspective on this, right? Because Travis and Don, they're more payments first and then AI. You're an AI first company. So can you talk about how you're seeing an ROI from AI and payments?
Yeah, so I guess I'll go over this in two different ways. So one is talking about, how we see ROI at Maple internally, and then also how we help use AI to deliver ROI for our clients, since we sell an AI product. So first, internally, I'll say echo a lot of what Travis and Donna said, better decision-making, right? We used to have all this data in front of us and very little way to make sense of it, or it took a long time, or you need to hire a data analyst. And now, you can throw that into Codex or Claude Code, and they can generate a pretty professional level report, and helps inform better decision making overall. The second way that we've adopted AI and seen ROI from internally is with these internal agents that we've been building, which have been pretty exciting. So we built 2 agents that are sort of production ready to date, and the way we're seeing them is instead of sort of agents like Claude Code and Codex that are initiated by humans, we see them more as entire departments of the company. And so, for example, support. As we were growing very quickly, we've grown around 50% month on month since the start of this year, and so it's been very hard to keep hiring up to serve our customers effectively. And so we ended up building out a support agent a couple months ago, and the support agent basically fully autonomously handles tickets on its own and then escalates to a team member when needed. So we kind of have them as this frontline, all tier 1, level 1 tickets, and then when they get escalated, that's only when a human gets involved. And today, this agent handles roughly 60% of all tickets fully autonomously, so no human involvement, closes it out. And so that's been pretty exciting, and it's a number that's only continued to increase. And as it increases, what we think and what we're seeing is that it'll allow us to scale to a much larger customer base without scaling the sort of human side of support too aggressively. So, you turn this linear function into a log function, which is always very exciting. And then The other one, and this is sort of getting to the second point now, is this dealer manager agent that we've built. And so essentially we have this network of hundreds of dealers now across the US. And these dealers come to us with a lot of questions. It's a similar shape as the support agent, but the other side is it's revenue driving. So this dealer agent is working with some of our resellers and dealers to make sure, like, hey, is this a customer a good fit for the product? Like, these customer has these requirements. Let's go check it with our Salesforce or internal knowledge base, see if this will work for them, and really handle the end-to-end relationship with the dealer. So signing up the customer, onboarding them, that kind of thing, and only bringing in Maple employees at the most critical moment. And so that's been pretty exciting, and we've seen over $100,000 in revenue driven just from the agent alone since launching it a few weeks ago. And then the other side of the answer to this question is sort of how we're delivering value as an AI native company to our clients, and some of these our dealers and a lot of people actually in the RSPA network. Sort of the problems that are open up now because of AI is pretty remarkable, right? Like Don was mentioning this chargeback agent. Really, in the past, fighting every single chargeback that came through with enough evidence to actually win it was an impossible task, right? And now only with AI has it become this very tractable problem and a product that you can actually sell. And so one thing we're super excited by, and one area we've seen ROI be delivered from AI already is from our dealer network reselling AI solutions into their existing merchant portfolios and delivering tremendous value to our merchants. I mean, today we've processed over $100 million in GMV just from voice AI in the thousands of merchants that we're live in. So it's a place where our end merchants see operational efficiency and our dealers see increased revenue. So yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. And I guess, so for our listeners, everybody in the retail IT channel, you hear all this, fear, uncertainty, and doubt related to AI, or all this, a bunch of blather about it. But we're inside the RSP, we're talking about getting to practical solutions. That's what you see Travis, Don, and Aiden just all detailed for you. I feel like we can end the podcast right now. Goodbye, everybody. Right. That was a really valuable podcast, but we're gonna keep digging deeper. So Don, I'm hoping you can take this next question. So it's about training your team to actually use AI. So what does adoption of AI look like inside of your organization, right? An ISO agent VAR organization that might not be considered like a large company or a naturally high tech company, right? It's from payments first. So how have you been training your team?
So since SEAA, because that question was posed once before, I said I was really struggling. So we started Inside Out in the last 35 days, and literally everybody, we've expanded our reach within both our chat and our platforms, and we got that first bought in house. Everybody now has access to it. And we shared that, and they're now as much of an evangelist as I am. So what's happening now is when somebody calls in, they go, "Well, we actually solved this. What you're asking me to do, did you know you can do this?" And they actually start to lead the way. So every time an independent consultant's calling in asking for a solution, we immediately reroute them back to, well, here's what we've done, but let us show you how we did that. Give me 5 minutes and we'll show you. Can you go create? Did you create this? And for the ones that have, about half of them have gone out, created their profile, and now we're just walking them through what we did and said, upload this in there and now ask it to refine it with your information so they can see what they can do. So we took small steps internally, and now we're starting to have every conversation end with, did you try AI first? And the last thing I'll share is we're building some of that technology to start to become an agentic experience for our agents. So we're building, I'll call it a workspace, a browser, link that just will take them to our internal chat that is going to be largely driven by AI, so that they can just go do their solutioning right there through a Q&A with a bot that is already going to take them down the right path. So we started internally, moved it to every conversation, and now we're going to go ahead and bring it together with an actual resource for them. So it's a phased approach.
Thank you. Travis, you want to share your insights, how you've been training your team on AI?
Yeah, definitely. We actually just completed a full AI audit in the entire company. And so one of our calls later today is to go over the findings of that call. But it's, kind of like Don said, it's giving them practical solutions, right? And so what I like to do is put myself in their shoes. And one of the best things I can do is lead by example. So I will show the team like exactly what and how I do things. And then I remember I had a call with one of our director of customer success the other day, and she was manually taking the attrition report and adding them one by one, right? And so I showed her, hey, instead of adding these, these 30 accounts I canceled this month, right? Here's boom, boom, run the report. And then it puts them all into a report like within a matter of seconds. And so just little stuff like that, right? Where I know how to do it and I'm showing them practical uses. We use Fireflies. Firefly sits on all of our calls. And so that's like a good one where they can go back. Oh, what did I say? What did this person say? And now that they realize how valuable it is to have something that can memorize, have 100% retention and memorize every single word, everything that was discussed, right? In the call, have action items, rate the call, everything. They can see how powerful that is with their own two eyes. But really the area of opportunity for us is how quickly can we get the team up to speed and what does adoption look like, right? And every team member, whether they're in their 20s, whether they're in their 50s, we've got team members of all ages at Coastal. It's everyone learns differently, right? And so it's, this is a brand new space, a brand new area of opportunity. How do we make it digestible where they can retain and they can like it and love it? And so it's an art form, right? It's connecting with your team and making it something that works for them.
Yeah, this isn't like baking a cake. Step one, this, step two, this, right? And it's linear and you just repeat it. Everything keeps changing and changing. Aiden, what is your take on training your team? And I'm curious, again, if that's a different perspective as well, since folks are working, right out of the gate from an AI company. But how do you train folks on these ever-changing tools?
Yeah, it's really tough. The space is changing. Every other week there's a new model dropping, new agent framework dropping, and even I find myself it's a little hard to keep up with what the latest is. And so I think there's a couple ways we try to do this well. People at the company generally are on looped into all the latest AI developments, whether on Twitter, online, research papers, that kind of thing. And we just share it across the company and everyone's really excited to learn. But the other part of this actually is it's quite inefficient to get everyone to try and build their own AI tools when you can have one or two people build tools for the entire organization that are extremely effective. And really, the delta in performance and productivity gains between someone who kind of knows what they're doing and someone who really knows what they're doing with AI is just massive, right? And so what we actually try to do is meet people where they are. And so we have these internal agents that live in Slack, and all you have to do is tag them. Be like, hey, Rue, which is our support agent, can you give us an update on these things? And rather than having to teach people how to use Cloud Code and set up their environments and share all the credentials, we just have one agent with all of that in one place that anyone can tag in the workflows that they already do, where they already work. And it's a pattern we're seeing more and more across the at least more AI native industry. And I think it's a pattern that we'll actually see propagate pretty far. And so it's an interesting sort of different take than most, and I think one that will probably gain more adoption as time progresses.
Yeah, so if I'm understanding what you're saying, I think all of you are maybe touching on there is, and I kind of take this back, Travis, you said people in their 20s to their 50s. I'm in my 50s now, so I can kind of relate back to this. When I first got my computer training, right, this would have been in the 1980s, it was all programming based. Well, now it's based on how do you use these applications. They're not teaching me how to program. I don't know if anybody wants to dive into this a little bit more, but that's what it sounds like you were all describing there in terms of you're not having everybody code, but you're having some folks who are really good at it, and then you're teaching people how to actually use those tools. I don't know if one of you wants to dive in on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, Don first, please.
Well, I'll just say, again, it's just knowing where your employee or consultant agent are at. So once you know where they're at, then you just start them down the path to proficiency. And that's really the key, is just get them started to a point that they're comfortable. If they're not comfortable, okay, well then we have to start making some other business decisions. If they're constantly calling and we're not empowering and enabling, and they're not willing to take that, that information and put it to use, we've got to start having a different business discussion. But otherwise, most have been very, very amenable to, let me try this. I want to try it. Let me get this. And it works pretty well.
Nice. Aiden, you wanted to add to this?
No, I mean, I think your assessment is pretty spot on, where, you have a group of people who really know what they're doing, and they build tools to help the rest of the company and level up the entire team.
All right. I'll really show my age here. I remember going to Hill's department store. I don't know if you guys remember Hill's department stores. They were in your area, and the computers they had there was just for people to program. And I remember a girl walking up and typed in play games and hit enter, and she's like, nothing happened. So we've come a long way in terms of how things operate from that standpoint. So I'm going to pause here to let our listeners and viewers know about the Retail Solution Providers Association. RSPA is North America's largest community of retail technology VARs, software providers, vendors, and distributors in the retail, restaurant, and grocery verticals. To accelerate your success through an RSPA membership, email membership@gorspa.org. I also want to highlight an RSPA tool that Travis, Don, and Aiden, and a few other dozen RSPA members have helped build. It's called the RSPA AI Resource Hub. If you just Google RSPA AI Resource Hub, you'll find that tons and tons of practical information, all for solution providers in the retail technology space. And then also we want to make sure we thank these channel-focused companies who support the RSPA and make this podcast and video series possible. Our gold sponsors are Blue Star, CoCard, Epson, Global Payments, and ScanSource. All right, I want to get to a few questions that we didn't quite get to in Miami because we got tons and tons of questions and comments from the audience there. I'll make another reference for people in their 50s and 60s. Phil Donahue, I was like running around with my microphone, getting all sorts of questions, and having the Travis and Don were answering them. So one question we didn't get to was about decision-making related to AI. So Travis, if you want to take this one first, how should ISO and ISV leaders decide whether to buy AI-ready solutions, whether to embed them into their existing platforms by development, or wait for their processor or vendor or somebody else to deliver a packageable AI solution? How have you gone through that decision-making process?
This is an excellent question. I would say it depends on the pain point, right? One of the questions that came up when we went through our AI audit is what's taking our team members the most time, right? And then we analyzed what's taking them the most time, and then how do we build an AI agent? So we're about to start one of the things that Aiden has built, and we're building a chatbot, right, to handle those tickets. And 60% seems to be the number and the target that we're shooting at. So he's done a great job there. But it really depends on the use case, right? Like I think about Fireflies, right? One of our most basic that sits on all of our calls, right? That's a very easy thing that can sit on, support calls. It can sit on sales calls. It can sit on all the calls, and it's easily implement, right? Versus us trying to build out that would probably take us a lot longer. So stuff that's easy plug and play, like, there's no point on trying to build it from scratch. But I would really go back to, every company is going to be a little bit different. Like my challenges at Coastal Pay are going to be a little different than everyone else's. And so really look at what's slowing down your team, right? What's the biggest area of opportunity? And then do you build that, or do you go buy it? Does it exist today? Go do research. Does it exist? What are licensing costs? Can you build it? What's going to cost to build out? And so forth. And so just doing the research, right? Just doing proper research, right? And figuring out, does it make sense for you?
That's great. Aiden, what would you add to that? What do you counsel, again, folks who might not be, AI native organizations, whether it's buy, build, or nag their vendor to create a solution for them? How have you counseled RSPA members?
Yeah, I'd say the answer is really twofold here. One is really like the pace of change of the AI industry has moved so fast that it's very hard to keep up with developments. And so, for example, if we were to have tried to build an agent a year ago to automate your coding tasks. It was something that you could have seen coming and something that would obviously deliver value. But the reality of it is there's a lot of very, very smart people working on these problems. And if you just wait maybe a month, 2 months, you'll have some very well-polished packaged product ready for you to use. And so what you should think about when thinking about this build buy problem is how many people are actually experiencing the same problem as you. And for ones where a lot of people are experiencing the same problem, and ones where you can see like OpenAI or Anthropic or some of these big guys launching products in that space, I would recommend against building that. But when it's something that's very, very hyper tailored to your use case, or something that not a lot of people experience, whether it's company specific quirks or just more niche workflows. For us, an example of that would be like voice AI for restaurants, right? That's when it starts to make sense to think about building it, right? You look at the landscape of vendors. If you're not happy with any of that, talk to Claude a little bit, talk to OpenAI, see how far you can get before committing to a vendor. But yeah, that's generally what I would say is if it's a big problem and a lot of people are having that problem, probably don't build it because someone else is going to build it better than you. But if it's a niche problem and you're one of the only people who are feeling this problem, then yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to build it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Aidan. Don, how would you answer that question? How do you weigh in on the build or buy?
Yep. So the acquire, build or to partner gets down to really it's a combination of an economic decision, time investment, and where does that place us in our schedule of growth or as our trajectory of growth. We are a company that's really doesn't want to be acquired, so that puts us on an island a lot of times in an industry right now that is wrought with acquisition and or challenged with a lot of smaller independent companies being bought by larger ones. It is one where you have to determine whether this is a differentiation or is this something I can partner and collaborate with. And so I've surrounded myself with people that are the same size, twice the size, 5 times the size, and then significantly larger. And I seek guidance through them because they've made it through that journey. And or are going through it together, and we go through it together. So to me, oftentimes we may take a lead on something, or I may find somebody that's doing something similar, and I'll give them some additional ideas and go, why don't you build this? I'll build this, and now we'll just work together on the new business going forward with each other's products in our arsenal. And so that to me is becoming a more intelligent play than just trying to do it all myself. And it's helping to deflect cost for multiple companies in what we do. And so to me, that approach is going to allow us to be a little more sustainable and scalable long-term, and probably makes us a little more difficult to acquire because I'll say, well, that's this partner too. So you're going to do this. You're going to need to buy both of us now. So it becomes to me a method of survival. But I have found most of our stuff we've tried to build, if it's going to cost us less than 6 times our monthly revenue, and it has a sustainable, projectable, 3x, 4x, annual revenue. All right, well, now I'll probably go build it. Otherwise, I'll partner or I'll buy. It just goes down that pecking order.
Got it. No, thank you all for that. So we were talking about build and buy like at a general philosophical level. I want to drill in a little bit deeper. And this is something that I heard last year at SCAA where it was talking about ISOs to ISVs. And I was like, do you really mean ISOs are becoming ISVs? Like you're developing your own software? That seems like a huge leap in that regard. But then this year at the event, there were many ISOs talking about, hey, all we used to do is talk payments with people, but we were missing out on all their pain points. So now we are leaning on AI very heavily to build our own POS systems for this groups. And part of me is just like I see the value and I see where they're coming from, but I've worked with a lot of ISVs over many, many years. It just seems like you're going to get to a point where you're going to hit a ceiling and you're like, man, there's so many other things that they want my software to do. I'm not going to be able to do that. And then where do they go from there, right? Is it a dead end or do they have to go and start doing all sorts of APIs? And should they just start off partnering with somebody and finding the right provider? So I'm throwing that out there. Who wants to take that first and be honest, act like you're a consultant for these ISOs who are considering to becoming ISVs. Because I'm sitting in the audience listening to them and going like, that might look good in 2026, right? Like 18 months into it. I just don't know what this looks like 5 or 10 years down the road, like you're really becoming a software provider. That's not something you do with your left hand. So raise your hand if you want to take a crack at that one. All right,
Aiden,
Travis,
you went
thank
first.
you.
I know Aiden, I saw
Yeah.
your hand, and I like to get into,
Okay.
but go ahead.
All right, Travis, Aiden, then Don. Yeah, Travis first.
Awesome. Yeah. It's, right now we're doing a lot of custom integrations, right? We're building software. And we started in ISO, right? And 4 years ago we started building software, right? And so we are in that boat, right? And it's like, where do we draw the line? How much software do we build? Do we create boundaries around this? Right now, currently, it's a lot of it. We're looking at accounts doing $1 million a month and up, and we'll do custom stuff. But eventually, as you scale, right, there becomes that tipping point, right, where you're all over the place. And so I think it's important to define like your path and have those boundaries, so you have a clear path. Because right now, it's like we've created something for churches. We've created a custom one for flooring. We've created all these different softwares in all these different industries that we now have to support, right? And it's a lot, right? You need support, you need boarding, you need all these teams to support all the software we're building. And so I think it's important to get clear on your ICP, clear on your directives, clear on set boundaries. Because if you're not, you can go down all these different rabbit holes. When we started, the first piece of software we built was called our sign up link, right? We looked at Stripe and Square and we're like, why is Stripe and Square scaling way faster than any other company in our space, right? And what they've done is they've made the user experience to onboarding to them very simple. So the first thing we developed was called our sign up link, which is our onboarding platform, right? It connects to Plaid, it connects to Facebook and Google and all these things. We took a PDF application that has roughly 120 to 160 mapped fields. We boiled that down to 23 fields, right? It's not as little as a PayFac like these, but it's moving, 5x in the right direction. And so we decided, hey, we're going to enhance this customer experience and make it better. And so that was our journey. We started there, and from then, we've developed stuff that's been roughly about $1 million a month and up. Because those merchants aren't like, you're not finding them on a daily basis. Well, sometimes it feels like we are these days, but it allows us to scale with some sort of consistency and not too quickly.
Got it. Thank you for that. Yeah, you're going to go the extra mile for those larger customers. Aiden, what's your take on this ISO to ISV transition? What counsel would you give them?
Yeah, I would say the calculus is not very clear, I think, to a lot of people, and even to us, especially given how fast sort of coding models have changed. But I think the one thing to throw out there is, for us, when we evaluate what software we use internally versus building in-house, the number one thing we look at is the team building the software that we're evaluating. So is this a fast-moving team? Can they build software faster than we can build software, right? Especially in this area, right? The way I see it is, most of us are in our companies because we have a specific competency, right? And trying to branch out too much and boil the ocean, so to speak, is usually not the strongest idea. Especially if you're not Anthropic and with $1 trillion of market cap to throw around, right? And most of us are not Anthropic.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah,
most of us are not Anthropic yet. And so I think like some of the examples Travis gave are pretty interesting in that these are relatively underserved markets with basically no products existing. And so at that point, obviously if there's no product, something is better than nothing. And so you should definitely give it a go. But for existing products that have a lot of edge cases or a lot of players in it, the reality of it is often someone who is focused on just making the best restaurant POS software ever is going to move a lot faster than someone who is trying to give a good payments experience and a good restaurant POS software experience, right? Yeah. And so you should bet on your vendors, pick good ones to partner with for the long term, because they're in it as much as you are. And so that's hopefully some interesting framing.
No, thanks, Aiden. Don.
As a small ISO, I look at it. It's very nuanced. The desire, the natural desire of an entrepreneur, once you solve something for someone or a business vertical, you feel like you can solve them all. And so you've got to temper yourself and go, as that small company, we went, what industries do we really like? What are things that we know and we like and we enjoy and that are fun to be around, and the people in the industries just generally aligns well with our core values, and let's stick to that. Let's not get too wide, even though we could. Let's be very cautious so that we invest our money the right way to grow intelligently and be very, very specific in who we're solving problems for, so we can go deep into their stack and not just solve the superficial operational stuff, but let's get them out of 10 different plugins that they use to run the business. Let's do one and get it really down to one, maybe two logins, and that is it. If we can get them there, we'll own that particular vertical. So I take the approach every day of, in fact, it'll happen tomorrow. When I pull the team meeting together, they're going to tell me about 10 new ideas and go, we chose these 5 for a reason. Those look good. Don't go after that shiny gold over there. It might be fool's gold. It'll take us as much money, if not 2x, because none of us are experts in it. We just heard there's a problem, and as problem solvers, we want to go solve it. We got to temper ourselves. So that's the approach we've been taking. Let's be very, very specific on what we're going to build for, be very nuanced in what we're doing, and then do it incredibly well across all parts of what we're going to serve and support for our clients. And then when the next opportunity arises, because we've perfectly monetized and put ourselves in a position where somebody else comes along and go, wow, you really know XYZ industry? What's really the problem there? And is it nuanced, and can we get it and solve it deep core solve? Great. Then let's invest in that then. Otherwise, we've got enough on our plate.
Interesting.
Yeah,
go ahead, Travis.
I want to add on that too. You said verticals. So I had lunch with Rob Fox from NMI yesterday, and one of the things we were talking about strategy and what NMI is doing. They're big in ISV and VAR world, and they're very focused. They choose 5 verticals, right? And they try to master those 5 verticals, right? And they just had their acquisition of Dwala for $2.75 billion, right? And so we were unpacking that, right? And it's interesting, right? It's interesting to see like the vertical aspect and what's that target market look like, and then how do you build around that and just staying focused on that, because you can go down these rabbit holes, right? And I find myself personally like it's like, okay, don't get too far off, right? I told this story about the golf and the AI coach, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like we can go down these rabbit holes and like just like that, there's 2 million of revenue, right? Like, and it's like and that took 2 weeks. And so where do you put the boundaries of just being able to generate 2 million of revenue in a couple of weeks? Right. And it's, Aiden mentioned this earlier, it's tough because AI has unlocked so much, right? That the potential out there is wild, and it's really exciting for us. I think when I got into the industry, we were excited about chip cards, right? And PCI 3.0 compliance. Right now it's like, we've got ATMs, we've got FedNow, we've got, all these different, we have AI, we have all these different things. So boundaries.
Yeah, it's the boundaries. Back to, there has to be an economic value. If I'm going to spend 2 weeks, I'm giving up a lot of other things I could be doing. But if it is just 2 weeks, because you've perfected it, and that's what I think people are going to find. They're going to perfect something and then realize that they can do something in 1/10 the time they used to be able to do it to get to what they just solved for, because the framework's already there. You're just inputting you're starting with a new input. So it makes you able to scale faster, but again, be cautious because you don't necessarily know everything yet about that vertical you're solving for. But it is exciting. It's for those that are creative, entrepreneurial, and understand what the horse they're riding and the capabilities of that horse, and you can bring another horse just like it into the stable. Boy, does it get fun to have some internal discussions.
Yeah, one man's excitement is another man's stomach ache, right? Like some people,
Yes.
it's exciting, other people are like, oh, it's
Absolutely.
terrible. All right, we only have time for one more question, and I'm going to skip my closing question because I want to dig a little bit deeper on this. So, and this just ties into, again, helping our members make decisions better. So whoever wants to take a crack at this first. It seems like you guys were talking about all the different factors that go into making the decision, whether it's build or buy, but then there's the partner element too. So the day after SCAA, Quantic, who Travis and Don, I don't know if you work with them, but I know Aiden, you have a partnership with Quantic. They very much had, hey, here's what we do from a baseline software standpoint, and we work with all these partners to build on top of what they do. A brand new member of ours, Liquor Bee, we met them there at the event. They built a liquor solution on top of it as opposed to going from the ground up. So who wants to weigh in on that aspect of it? Or is it just hugely important if you're a solution provider to know the whole landscape, to know my team and then what's out there? Then you make a better decision, whether it's building, buying, or partnering. I guess who wants to talk about that, about working with somebody who white labels and you can go and build upon it in those decisions? Who wants to weigh in first?
Well,
Raise your hand. Oh, Don?
I'll
Yeah.
jump in really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, when we built the marina, aviation, and tool truck software because we had expertise within our organization to do it. However, assisted living property management, we didn't know anything about. So, but a partner came along that happened to have deep experience, but they didn't have a distribution channel. They were lacking something that we had. So at the end of the day, we made a strategic partnership decision with somebody that could really build it out more robust, make it scalable and easier for me to sell into the mid-market to small enterprise level that we were able to partner with. So it gets down to a strategic business decision to make sure we're not going to cross paths. We're not going to conflict with each other's business cases. We're not looking to acquire each other. So as long as you can find the right things that check the boxes to keep your business unit thriving and growing in a new vertical, that's when at least I choose to partner at Tried and True. We go that route.
Interesting. Thank you. Don, Aiden, if you want to weigh in on this, again, the partnering thing, and then Travis will give you the last word.
Yeah, happy to weigh in here. It's a very good question, and one we actually run into a lot with a lot of the POS partners that we work with. So we're voice AI specialists. We build voice agents for restaurants. And if you're a POS company, you look at voice agents, especially as a restaurant POS company, you look at it as this very hot market. And actually, we've seen a lot of players try and build voice agents.
A lot. Every trade show I go to, Aiden, I'm like, so how are you guys different from the other person? They don't have a great answer necessarily.
Exactly. And what we really see is that people will try, but like going back to some of the earlier comments that were made in this podcast, it's really hard to do everything well, right? And so what we've seen is POS companies really come to us to partner with us and white label even our technology to serve their merchants, because they realize that, hey, these guys are voice AI specialists, right? They do this one thing really well, and they stick to their lane, and we know that we can offer our customers a very great experience. And so today, we have over 30 POSs that are actively, integrated, partnered, and also reselling our platform. We actually had so much interest that we launched a developer API relatively recently to support even more POS companies to integrate with our voice agents, and so that they can offer voice agents to their end customers. And so hopefully that's some interesting context for any listeners out there who are thinking about this. This goes back to that build, buy, partner, build in-house kind of decision. And from what we've seen is a lot of customers coming to us with POS complaints, and we have great POS partners that are able to help us there, rather than us trying to build the POS side of things and vice versa. So
excellent. Thank you, Aiden. Travis, I'll give you the last word on AI, payments, and partnering.
Yeah, so the partner aspects, we're rolling out, there's quite a few examples I could give here, but we'll use the banking. We're rolling out a banking product, right? And part of banking is who's going to be the program manager, right? Banking is a brand new product for us. And so instead of us, being the program manager, we're relying on the bank to be the program manager for this. And that goes back to the partner, right? And so I like the crawl, walk, run approach is, you start small, whether that's a white label, whether that's whatever the product is, and just crawl first, right? Crawl before you walk, get comfortable, get to know the product. There's no point in trying to do everything from day one. You can do that, just understand it's going to be time consuming and it can be expensive, right? And so I would just weigh out the pros and the cons of what is the product, what are the pros and cons of what does this look like, and just do the research ahead of time versus you're halfway through the project and be like, oh, we didn't account for this or we didn't think for this. But this beautiful topic about AI, you can just prompt AI and it'll tell you, right? Hey, we're trying to do this. We're looking at doing this. Give us the pros and cons of it. What do you think? And AI will give you like within seconds, like stuff that you didn't think about right away, or typically you have to go out there and hire a consultant to bring in to do this. And you have that at your fingertips. So we can use AI to like help us move in that direction.
Excellent. Very good. Well, that does it for this episode of The Trusted Advisor. If you enjoyed our discussion, be sure to subscribe to the RSPA YouTube channel and the Trusted Advisor podcast so you never miss an episode. Before we go, big thanks again to Travis Chrisman, Don Wilsinski, and Aiden Chow for sharing their wisdom with us today. Thanks also to RSPA Marketing Director Chris Arnold for his production work, Joseph McDade for our music, and last but not least, thanks so much to you for listening. Our goal at the RSPA is to accelerate the success of our members in the retail technology ecosystem by providing knowledge and connections. For more information, please visit our website at gorspa.org. Thanks for listening and goodbye, everybody.